Welcome back to the Rush Hour with Gus, Jude and Wendell. Well, boys, we are very lucky to have in studio with us former Mafia boss Michael Franzese, and he's visiting Australia at the moment for an In Conversation with Michael Franzese at Sydney's Enmore Theatre on Sunday. Michael, welcome to Australia.
Well, it's good to be here. It's good to be back. This is, I think, my fourth trip, but the first time in the springtime. It's always been winter, so it's great. Good weather and everything else.
Now, you were featured in Martin Scorsese's movie Goodfellas, one of my favourite films of all time, about being in the New York Colombo crime family. Tell us about how high up you were, and I guess what it means to be a wise guy or a made man back in the day.
Well, I had reached the level of capo regime, captain, which is kind of a street boss. When you're a captain, you really only answer to the boss.
Wow.
You know, so that was I reached that in 1980, I believe. And it's a powerful position. You know, got a lot of men under you. You got a lot of responsibility, and you know, in that life, you got kind of two divisions. You got the racketeers, and you got the gangsters, the mobsters. And in our family, Colombo family, we had 115 made guys that actually took the oath. Out of the 115, maybe 20 of us were really earners. The other guys were, you know, they did the stuff on the street, whatever. And I was in the racketeer category, and so, you know, I had a pretty good run in that life.
There was something I was reading there. At your best, and that you were earning $5 to $10 million a week. That, you know, the generation, you know, estimation. Is that right?
Well, yeah, we had my partner and myself devised a scheme to defraud the government out of tax on every gallon of gasoline. The height of our operation, we were selling 500 million gallons of gas a month, taking in 30 to 40 cents a gallon. So it was a lot of money, but it was, you know, combined $8 to $10 million a week into our operations. So
Wow.
We had a good run.
Wow.
Hey, Michael, no doubt your bosses loved you when you're bringing in that sort of money and so forth. And we love the movies, right? How close to the movies and the TV shows that we've all loved over the years is real life with what you're actually doing?
Well, you know, it depends on the film, obviously, but Goodfellas, fairly accurate depiction of that life. I mean, I knew all those guys. They always take some dramatic liberty, but characters were great. The storyline was pretty tight. I would say the same for Bronx Tale, Donnie Brasco. I thought Donnie Brasco, that was Al Pacino's best role. I knew his character, Lefty Ruggiero, pretty well, and he just killed it, Pacino, in that one. So that was great. Casino, another good one, obviously. Yeah. And then this was kind of a sleeper that people don't really realize, but the 1996 HBO Gotti movie with Armand Assante and Anthony Quinn. You can watch it on YouTube. Brilliant movie, very, very accurate because they wrote the script from most of the surveillance tapes. So it was really good. But they just killed the role. Armand Assante played Gotti better than Gotti could have played himself. He was terrific. And Anthony Quinn, great. There was one scene in that film where Anthony Quinn is telling Gotti, and Anthony Quinn played the character of Neil Delacroce, right? I knew him well. That he saved his life because Gotti, and this really happened. Gotti had killed a made guy without permission. You can't do that. You die for that.
Yeah.
And there was a big battle to save his life. And Neil at that time did, but that scene was so brilliantly done. I'll be honest with you, I got the chills when I watched it. I said, oh, this guy's really got it down, you know?
So, Michael, I mean, when someone speaks out against the mob back in the day, I mean, how quick was just the repercussions?
Well, it speaks out in a way that could have been harmful. It was quick. I mean, you didn't talk, you didn't talk bad about the life, especially to anybody. Or if anybody found out about it, you know, that you were doing something, you were in trouble. Couldn't do that.
And so you're now on a speaking tour in Australia. How did your life venture in such to be out of the mob? What happened there?
Well, listen, you know, if you would have told me 25 years ago that I'd be speaking, I would have said you're out of your mind. I mean, it was the last thing I ever thought I'd be doing, never even in my, vision. But, you know, the reason I walked away from that life, look, I was a major target. I mean, I don't know, 18 or 19 arrests. I had 7 indictments, 2 federal racketeering indictments. I went to trial 5 times. So, I mean, I became a target immediately, and then when I started to really, do something in that life, they really were all over me, wanted to put me away for life. And, in the mid-'80s, when the racketeering law came in, guys, I can tell you this, they had me in lockdown. They locked me up for a couple of times. I was in jail with guys that were going to trial, getting convicted under the RICO statute and getting 100 years, 150 years. No parole. They changed the law. You got 100 years. You were doing 87 years.
What?
No parole. So I'm watching these guys, and I'm saying, I'm the youngest guy out of everybody. They're going to give me 300 years if I go down on this. So, boom, I go to trial. Giuliani indicts me on a huge case. Fortunately, I beat the case, or I wouldn't be here now. Some of my co-defendants convicted. I was a lead defender. They got 30 years. He would have given me at least 50. So I'm watching this RICO indictment. I'm watching guys start to flip, and I'm saying, we're in a lot of trouble, a lot of trouble. So I started to plan my exit strategy because I knew that the life was in trouble. And look, we can be here the rest of the afternoon to tell you how it, came about and how I got very fortunate to make it happen without joining the government, without testifying or entering a program or anything like that. But to say that I'm fortunate is an understatement.
One thing I always wonder too is, like, if they don't come at you, they go at your family. Family's everything, you have to protect your family. And we see a lot of the movies. Was that a concern for you?
Wendell, honestly, we had a very strict code in that life. You never bothered or touched family. And I don't know until this day that that's ever been violated, unless a family member was involved in the life. So I never worried about that because we did have a certain code, and I never had to worry about my family in any way. Look, I had sons in New York, and they never had a problem, never.
Hey, Michael, would you change anything now that you're sitting here, a free man in Australia, about to do the speaking to? It's interesting listening to you. Of course, we love all the movies and the TV shows. Are you happy that you've had the life that you've had? Are you sitting there, sort of a man now that goes, "Yep, I'm happy with my lot"?
Well, listen, people ask me if I missed anything about the life, and look, I never glorify the life, and I tell people, basically, it's a bad life. And the reason I say that, I don't call the guys bad because I was one of them. I just happened to be fortunate. But I don't know any family of any member of that life, including my own, not my wife and kids, but mother, father, brothers and sisters, that hasn't been totally devastated. And any lifestyle that does that to a family is not a good life. And it's across the board that way. But do I miss certain things? Hey, come on. I had great relationships. My guys, there's nothing more powerful in life than a group of guys getting together in a brotherhood. I come into the life. Michael, don't ever worry about your family, your wife, your mother, your daughter, your sister. Nobody's ever going to bother them. Wherever you go in this world, you're going to have somebody that's going to have your back. What a powerful statement, have your back. We had a close bond. And obviously, look, a lot of things went bad in that life, went wrong. But I missed that bond, that brotherhood that we had. Because I had some, you're making the kind of money I had, you have a good life. I had my own jet plane, I had a helicopter, I had a lot of stuff going on. So we had good times. Regrets, I can tell you this. The flip side of that life, guys, I saw guys die for the wrong reason. And I had a very, very close friend who was like a brother to me, actually baptized one of my kids. I baptized one of his. And he made a bad mistake in that life, and I couldn't save him. And he ended up, they took him out. And I have a deep regret for that because I wish I could have saved him, but I couldn't.
In terms of the racketeering, I mean, how much did the 5 big families in New York sort of try not to tread on toes, or were you always trying to take down parts of their business as well?
No, you couldn't tread on anybody's toes. Things were done pretty diplomatically. Families didn't fight among one another. Guys had arguments over certain things, but you always settled them the right way. In a sit down, you settled them properly. Whenever there was a fighting in that life, it was a civil war, and it was normally over power. Who wanted to be the boss? There's no elections, You want to be the boss, you better be prepared to take the other boss out if he's not ready to go. So in our family, unfortunately, the Colombos, we were probably the most violent in terms of we had a lot of wars. Yeah, we were unsettled in many ways.
Can I ask, when you went to prison, were you worried about your own life there, or were you sort of protected?
In prison?
Yeah.
No, I never worried about it. Listen, I didn't. I never put anybody in prison. I didn't testify. I didn't do anything like that. Of course, people are upset with me for walking away. You can't do that. My boss took it very personal. But inside prison, I never had any trouble. I don't know if you guys had a prison experience.
No,
No.
I'm close.
All right. Well, yeah, I'm glad you missed it. But, my dad gave me some very good advice. My dad did 40 years in prison. And he said to me, son, 3 words are going to save you a lot of headaches in prison. Please, thank you, and excuse me. Because every guy in prison that never got any respect on the street, they want all the respect in jail. Yeah. You bump into somebody, oh, excuse me. You want to cut into somebody on a line, you got a friend there, please, do you mind if I get in front of you? Is it okay? Hey, they hand you something, thank you very much. When you're known for that in prison, you have an easy time. It's not the place to throw your weight around unless, you're in a position where, hey, but you don't start it, you got it. I had one incident in prison. The hottest spot in prison, telephones. Don't ever disrespect, everybody wants to get on with their family, their lawyer. If you got 10 minutes and the guy's behind you waiting and you're moving into his time, you could have a problem. I saw a lot of bad things happen on the phone. So one day, I leave the phone line, and I was always very respectful. I walk into into one area there, and somebody cold cocks me, right? And I turn around, and I look at him. He goes, "Oh my God, I hit the wrong guy!" Right? He mistook me for somebody else,
Wow.
And I looked at him. He was a younger guy, and he had a little gang in there. And I said, "All right, don't worry about it." Guys wanted to retaliate, and then his people came over that night. I said, "Listen, he's a young guy. He didn't mean it. It's okay. Don't worry about it." But they were afraid he was going to get hurt in there. I said, "It's okay," because guys wanted to take care of it, friends of mine, but. That was the only time I ever had a problem, and it was a mistake.
What about pizza? What about pizza in Australia versus New York pizza? Have you tried that?
I haven't had pizza in Australia yet, but I'm in the pizza business.
A lot of Italians here. We love our pizza. We love our pizza.
Well, tell me where to go. I'll have it.
Via Napoli in Lane Cove. Look at
Via Napoli? All right. Exactly. Well, Naples, that's where it was born, pizza, right?
Exactly.
Hey, Michael, the evening with you is going to be fascinating. And what I love about it is that there's going to be Q&A from the crowd.
Yes.
So it's rather than you just standing up and giving your presentation, which I'm sure would be extremely enjoyable, but opportunities for people just to ask you whatever they want?
Anything they want. I always tell them, listen, I've been asked everything under the sun. You're not going to offend me. And if I don't want to answer, you don't have the fifth here, but we have that I'm not going to incriminate myself, but I answered just about everything,
Okay.
Did the horses' heads actually ever happen?
That horse, no, that didn't.
That's such a good story. Great story.
Yeah, it's a great story. I mean, we gave us some ideas later on, maybe a dog, a cat or something, but no horse.
Hey, Michael, when people start talking like this, for like the Godfather, did anyone actually ever talk like that? Because I love. Obviously, the whole series.
Yeah, some of the old timers talk like that. Yeah. It's funny when The Godfather came out. Godfather 1. Guys on the street started carrying themselves differently.
Yeah.
It elevated the stature of that life. I'm telling you, that guys started. Hey, we're really something, and they started dressing differently. They started talking differently. It had a major impact. It really did.
That's awesome.
Michael, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. We'll have all the details of your speaking engagement. You got them there, Jude?
Yep, In Conversation with Michael Franzese is at the Enmore Theatre this Sunday. Tickets from Ticketek. It's an absolute pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you, mate.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you very
Thanks,
much.
Michael.
Thank you.
Good on you,
Thank
mate.
you.